Hi, everybody. Matt Bernier, joined by Woodbine analyst Jeff Bratt, taking a look at the Woodbine play of the day for Saturday, August the 25th, the graded stakes race on the turf course, 7/8 of a mile, the grade 2 Play the King. It's an interesting field put together here, Jeff, because you've got a filly taking on boys. You've got horses that are true horses for courses up at Woodbine on the turf. And then you've got some imports coming in from the United States. Let's start off with the morning line favorite. He's perfect on the Woodbine turf. Mr. Haverkamp coming back from Belmont Park, where I thought he ran okay in the Forbidden Apple against a pretty salty group. We know what Voodoo Song went on to do in the 4-star Dave. Mr. Haverkamp, really, there's nothing to knock about him at Woodbine.
And this is a major test for him because if he runs well here, he will be going to the Rico Woodbine Mile. That's the next logical step for a lot of these horses, as a matter of fact, going from 7/8 to a mile all the way out to 8 furlongs for the Rico Woodbine Mile. Mr. Haverkamp, I'm with you. He just ran okay. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't spectacular. He was just sort of there to finish in the 4th place position, losing by about 2 lengths on that day. But you hit the nail on the head. Horse for course. And I really find that some horses love this E.P. Taylor turf course because of the long stretch, the sweeping turn as well, 1,440 feet to work with all the way down the lane. And there's enough pace in this race that he's going to get a nice trip he would think and just I think he's legit favorites and clearly the horse to beat in this event.
Breaking down to the inside is a filly taking on the boys. 5-2 on the morning line for La Sardane coming in for Neil Drysdale. She was a group winner over at Chantilly in France last year. She comes over here. She's already a graded stakes winner. She won that 2 starts back in Intercontinental as well as the Perfect Sting most recently. I don't have any knocks really against her either. She gets a little bit of weight allowance from some of the other runners, but I guess the question is, do you think she's actually good enough?
I think she has to step up her game. I'd love to know the reason why she ran so poorly in her first North American start, because since then she's been pretty much unbeatable. But if you just look at the raw numbers, her career best buyer at this point is a 92. It's going to take like a high 90, maybe even 100 to win this race. So she does have to step up her game in here. But again, I just think that the connections, if the horse runs well here, it gives them so many options for where to go next. And you know what, too? It's tough to find these 7 furlong sprints or 6 furlong sprints, and sometimes they can come up pretty salty. I love the fact that she's here, but I do think she has to step up her game a little bit.
Yeah, and even if she doesn't handle the course necessarily, or for some reason the circumstances don't work, we're going back to Belmont Park here in a few weeks, and I'd imagine they'll find a spot for her down there. There's some longer prices in here that admittedly look like they're a little bit tough to make on paper, but I think there are 2 other interesting alternatives. You're interested in one of them, that being Holding Gold.
So I think at this point he's kind of lost a step. I don't think he's quite got the speed that he had early on in his career. You look back at 2017, he only won 1 race, but he made a pile of money because he ran so well on a fairly consistent basis. But this year, it's taken him a while to get going. I'm willing to throw to his performance in the Troy. That was a really soft course in Saratoga. And maybe with this old guy now, maybe he just needs a little bit more ground. So at 7/8 a mile, I think is a real legitimate contender here for the Exacta. And I'm hoping that maybe that extra ground will help him out a little bit and that he hasn't lost a step too much where he's just not good enough against these, that maybe the 7 furlong distance will help him out a little bit.
I'm curious what your thoughts are with the horse that I'm interested in. That's the number 6 White Flag coming in for Christophe Clement. Rafael Hernandez has the mount. This is a horse that from a speed figure standpoint, I think fits in here quite well. I think he makes a lot of sense. The concern becomes, I don't even necessarily want to say Woodbine, because the only time he ran up there, he caught soft going, and that, a lot of horses, you can excuse that. Do you think he is classy enough to run with these types, or is he better off sort of in that optional claiming level?
He's got to prove that he belongs. He hasn't won one of these big races as of yet. He's been doing some pretty good things at Belmont. He's just sort of hovering under the radar a little bit. He has to take that next step. Now, is he at the point now? 4 years old. He's got 10 starts under his belt. Can he make that next step? It's possible. You look at his layoff record since coming back on June the 17th. He finished 2nd and against a good one. And the last time it was able to win, he might be onto a real nice long shot in this race. A horse that might be just starting to figure things out a little bit. I would not talk you off White Flag. And I do like the fact that a local rider is riding too, because the more experience you have on this turf course, it's a big time plus.
Fun race here, the Play the King. It is going to be the Saturday Woodbine Play of the Day. And realistically, like Jeff had mentioned, this could be a very nice stepping stone to the Rico Woodbine Mile coming up about a month from now up at Woodbine. Jeff's going to go with Mr. Haverkamp, but he acknowledges that he's interested in Holding Gold, possibly to round out the Exacta. I'm going to take a little bit of a shot with White Flag, but again, admittedly, Mr. Haverkamp, he's the horse for course. We'll find out if he gets it done. And La Sardane, we'll find out. Hopefully she can come with a nice effort as well. Scheduled post time for the Saturday Woodbine Play of the Day. The Play the King, race number 8, 5 o'clock Eastern. Best of luck.